So let me introduce before starting. From past 3 years, I am Oracle SOA certified, and as part of the trainings, my goal will be to infuse the SOA fundamentals among you. Okay, so um, till date, a little bit more introduction about myself. Till date, I have integrated around 30 systems till date, and different disparate systems like Salesforce, Oracle apps, SAP, PPM servers. So most of the things, Siebel. So I'm affluent in all those, and I will like to tell you that I will be answering most of your questions. And if at any stage you feel that or you get the questions which I'm not able to answer, I will make sure that you get the answers of it. So this training will be will be more interactive, where we will be where I will be asking the question, and I will actually encourage you to ask questions, because that is the only way you can learn SOA. So today it's a demo class, and I will like to go over some of the things that we are going to teach in the class, as well as what we are going what a little bit overview on what SOA is. So today's objective will be, we will discuss what the course objectives are, we will explain what the course agenda is, we will briefly describe what is stands for service oriented architecture, and little bit about the standards and the SOA suite, Oracle SOA suite for 11G. So after completion of this course, what you will get is, you will be able to explain what service oriented architecture concepts are. You will be very thorough with what SCA is, why the SCA is, and throughout the training I will actually enforce lot of I will give lot of things on the pressure on the why, the question why these things are there, and why you should use SOA. Then we will you should have you will get a very clear understanding of mediators, which was previously called ESB, then people. Then we will also be talking about how to administer and monitor Oracle SOA Suite 11G. Then we will define and implement the business rules, how the business rules are there. Apart from it, we will also be talking about what the human workflows are, what a BAM server is, what BAM is, and what Oracle Service Bus is. So our course curriculum will, so this training, first thing is who this training is for. So we say that if you whatever I tell you in the class, you follow it. This training is for anybody who has done programming in any language in his life. That means even if he knows the fundamentals and he knows logic building, he can learn Oracle SOA. So this training, if you are from a DBA, if you are a Siebel architect or a Siebel guy, you are a Oracle Apps PL SQL person, you are a Java person, this training is for everybody. Okay. So let me talk about what curriculum we are going to teach is. So we will start with the concept of SOA, where we will talk about SOA in a generic way. SOA is not proprietary of Oracle, and this we will prove you that SOA is not a proprietary, it's open source. Again, start about the course curriculum. So how we will start is we will start with the concept of SOA in general. SOA is a open source framework, and we will talk about how the SOA what SOA actually is. We will not be any vendor specific. We'll talk about the generic concepts of SOA. Once it is done, we will talk about how Oracle as a vendor provides a suite of tools which helps us in implementing SOA. Once it is done, we will talk about the concept of web services, WSDL, XSDs, XMLs, and XSLTs. So these all are the building blocks for learning SOA. So we don't expect you to know all this. It will be we who will be teaching you all these concepts to the core, so that and we will be taking that part of this which is needed in every day of your life when you are dealing with SOA. Then once it is done, we will come to a component called, we will talk about SCA, that stands for Service Component Architecture, and we will see why Oracle has introduced this thing in 11G, why it was not there in the 10G. Then we will talk about BPEL, which is the backbone of the Oracle SOA suite, and it stands for Business Process Execution Language. Here we will see what BPEL does, where BPEL is used, and how you can use the BPEL to create the business processes. Then we will talk about mediators, which were in the previous releases were called Enterprise Service Bus, and now it is called mediators. And we will see where the mediators come into picture and how they are used. Then we talk about human tasks, which are we will see if my business process has some type of activity which requires human intervention, how I can write those type of human tasks or workflows. Then we will talk about business rules, which is another tool to keep the volatile rules. Then we talk about Oracle Service Bus, which is since Oracle acquired BEA some 3 or 4 years back, they got a product called Aqualogic Bus, and they infuse it into SOA South, and they call it Oracle Service Bus. And we will see how OSB enhances the capability of of the SOA. Then in the last, we will talk about Business Activity Monitoring, or BAM, which is more of a dashboard thing that can be used and to monitor all of your SOA suite. So let's go about agenda. So here is very detailed of what we are going to teach you in the in this course. We will start with the introduction and concepts of SOA, and here we will be limiting ourselves mostly to the generic concept of SOA, because SOA is a methodology, and you should understand what SOA methodology means, so that it's not only whatever Oracle says tools is just for implementation, but there is another concept of methodology, and we will talk about that. Then we will see what are the things that SOA 11G provides, or what Oracle provides as suite of products, and how to start on it. Here we will talk about a little bit on installations, and also how you create the code, where you write the code, which is the environment, and a little bit concepts of WebLogic server. Then we will come to a very fundamental thing of SOA, which is a service, and we will see what a service is, what are the building blocks that make a service. Here we will review the concepts, or learn the concepts of XML schemas, XSLTs, WSDLs, X queries. So all this we will learn over here. Then we will talk about concepts of SCA, and once we know what SCA is and how you can create SCA, then we will talk about managing and monitoring SOA composite. See, when you go to a client, or you are at you have to create there will be many times where you have to manage the SOA server, and you should know how, as a developer or an architect, what needs to be done, or even if you are a WebLogic administrator, what to tell them and what to tell them about the problem. So you have to have that understanding, and this is where this chapter will help you. Then we will start with the concepts of BPEL. Here we will see how BPEL, what is a BPEL process manager is, how to write a code in BPEL, how to create, what are the activities, what is the concept of partner links and all that. So from the starting of this concept of SCA, we will start doing the exercise. So how this training is built, it is built in two parts. One thing is, we will be giving you some of the homework that you need to do, or as part of it, these will be small exercise. And then we will also be giving you one end-to-end tutorial, which will include all the components that you will learn in one shot, so that how, if in a project if you have to use them with each other, then how to use it. So that is what will be the concept. Then we will take care of BPEL to the in-depth. We will see what is the interaction patterns, because this will be required when you go to the client or customer, and you have to create you have to think from the scratch. Okay, what type of services we have to do. We will see how to write the code in Beeple, and we will see the what are the other things that people can do. Then we will talk about mediators, where we see what is how to do the routings, what the virtualization is, which is a most important concept of mediators, and how to do the transformations. We will end with the exercises on mediators. Then we will talk about human task and business rules. So human tasks are the places, if in a business process you have some of the you need some type of human interventions, like you applied for a leave, it goes to your manager for a approval, or I can say the workflows. So if that is the concept, how to implement using SOA suite, so human task comes in handy, and we will see that. Then we will talk about business rules. So business rules are the components where we can write volatile rules, like customer is a platinum customer, give him 10% discount. Tomorrow, this 10% can change to 15% or 20%. So where to take this type of volatile rules, and how to make sure that these rules are always applied. So in this case, business rules comes in handy, and we will use the business rules. Then we will talk about Oracle Service Bus. As I said, OSB has been taken, is nothing but Aqualogic bus, which has been acquired from BA, and it is very powerful. And we will see what are the concept of it, how you can virtualize the services using OSB, what is the concept of a business and a proxy service, and how you can design services using OSB. In the last, we will please disregard the date. You will see what the BAM is. In the BAM is used to know about if you have to monitor your SOA interfaces, or what is the data flowing, or a little bit of dashboards. So that type of things goes in BAM, and we will see how to implement that. Let's now little bit talk about service-oriented architecture, where I'm just going to give you a little overview what the SOA is, and then we can take it what the further thing is. So if you see the word service-oriented architecture, it is built of two things. One is services, another is architecture. So when I say architecture, I say it must be a framework based on the standards. So the SOA is a set, is enabled to set of standards. Then comes a very important word called service. So service is like anything that does a unique piece of thing, unique piece of work is called a service. Okay, and a service is always an abstraction. That means the person who is asking for a service should not know how that service is implemented. Only thing is he should know what request to be sent and what response he has to expect. So in the service paradigm, if you have seen on most of the sites, we have Yahoo Weather Service. So what you do with Yahoo Weather Service? You will see on multiple sites. Nobody knows how Yahoo service is used. But when I build a site, I know I just put that thing on my site, and I know you have to just send the zip code of that place, and what it will give me is the weather of that particular place. This is a service paradigm. That means the consumer will send the request and get the response. How the service is actually worked on, or it's abstraction, and the user should not know about it. And what this service is doing is, it is doing one unit piece of work. I send a zip code, I get a weather of that place. It is a one unit piece of work, and this is called a service. Now, when I combine this word, service, and I make it an architecture, I get something called service-oriented architecture, which says it is an architecture style for integrating loosely coupled interacting software services. So we understood what the services are. We know what the architecture is. Now, it has a word which says loosely coupled, which is a very important word. When I say loosely coupled, what I mean is something like this. Previously, what used to happen was that when the services were created, so something this used to happen. Like as an organization is growing, for their CRM, they bought Siebel. For their order management, they bought Oracle apps. For financials, they bought Oracle Financials, or maybe we can say something else. Or for shipment, they had some other system. So they started thinking, oh, let's start integrating it. So they started integrating something like this. So as the number of systems were getting increased, my integration points were getting increased, and that's what it leads to is a maintenance nightmare. Secondly, any change becomes a global change, and that's a big problem to me. So, and another issue is, if tomorrow my organization says, let's move out the Siebel and put Salesforce, it's such a huge change, it becomes a big release or something. And and here my organization has to put a lot of money. So what SOA says is, rather than doing it, why not expose everything as a service, and then we have a middleware which caters to each of them. That means my Siebel is a one service, my Oracle apps is created as a service, my Oracle Financials or other system is created as a service, and SOA sits in middle. The integrations are something like this. Now, what happens is that even if I change or remove any system, my whole business process doesn't get affected. Secondly, if there is any enhancement or maintenance, the change is local. So that is a concept of loosely coupled systems. This is a loosely coupled system, and this is a tightly coupled. And the main concept or focus of SOA is to always have a loosely coupled interacting software services. And we will see as we go when ahead in this training, we'll see how from the requirement you think about a service, and then you talk about the usability of that service, and then in the end you say my architecture as a whole is a loosely coupled. So we will go through all the steps. Now let's talk about general concept of SOA, or a SOA implementation. So as a first step, you always create a portfolio of services. That means anything that SOA has to talk to has to be created as a service. You can use Java to create the service, you can use .NET to create a service, or you can use adapters to create a service. So at this level, I will say adapters are nothing but a simple components which will expose the given functionality of the system as a service. Like I want to expose the insert operation on a table as a service, so I will use a database adapter and it will do it for me. I have to just configure it. Once I have a service, some of the organizations have UDDIs. So what UDDIs are? UDDIs are just like the yellow pages. Depending upon the content, I get the location of the service on my server. This is the concept of UDDIs. Then I use ESB. ESB is used to virtualize the data as well as route the data. So what does it mean? Like I have a Siebel system. I'm just taking example Siebel because it is very, widely used. And it is sending the data to. It has to send the orders data to two places. One is SAP, another is Oracle apps. So, this is called routing. Now, there can be cases where I have to say that, okay, if the US data is there, it goes to SAP. If it is non-US, it goes to Oracle apps. So this is a capability of ESB which will do it. Then that is what we can say the routing as well as filtering capabilities of ESB or mediators. ESB and mediators are now used, are the same names for the same thing. Now, here is a concept of virtualization. So what virtualization says is, source end system should not know what is the source of data. That means if tomorrow Siebel goes away and I put a Salesforce, still my business process remains same. This is what the mediators or ESP do, and we will see how it is done. How we can make sure that routing is done in a proper way and all that, and we will be doing this as part of our exercise.
Then for the process orchestrations, we use BPL. So this BPL stands for Business Process Execution Language, and it only orchestrates. What does orchestrate means? Orchestrate word has come from the word orchestra. If you have seen an orchestra, you will see all musicians are independent and people, but when they get together as a group, there is a central person who is standing in the middle, and he goes the orchestra, tells when the flute should go, when the piano should go, or what else, so that he makes a full proper tune. So this is what orchestration means, and same thing BPL does. So let's take an example. I have a part of a business process where you know what a business process is. Business process is the only steps to do a particular type of a business. First, this process is to just debit the money from my bank account. The first process is validate whether the amount is sufficient amount is there or not. Secondly, if sufficient amount is there, then debit the money. So now what we do is we created two services. One, a validation service. Another is a debit card, debit service. So what BPL does is, if BPL only orchestrates, it creates a third service, which we can call a master service. It takes the data, like the debit card as well as the amount to be debited, finds out whether it is a validated or not. If it's a validate, it debits, else it sends the thing back, saying the message saying or errors out, whatever. So now there are two things that you. One thing is BPL is the place which says, okay, whether get something and then work on it and then give it. That means my logic, business logic, is written in BPL. Secondly, it is governing these two independent entities to form one business function, and that's what BPL does. BPL only orchestrates. And we can have any, after BPL, we can have any web application which can call BPL, and we can get the data. Let's talk about what SOA 11G components are. In the SOA 11G components, we will have a service infrastructure, which is nothing but a collection of lot of tables, and lot of tables are there, which we call it as the SOA infra, on which in which the data is written. Then they all are connected. It is connected to the different components. We call mediator, business, people, human workflows as components. We know what the mediators are. What business rules are? Business rules are the component which helps me in keeping the tag rules. Like I have a scenario where I say if a customer is a platinum customer, give him 10% discount. Tomorrow this 10% can change it to 11% or 15%. So where to keep these rules? So place is business rules. Now the question can be, can we use Spotify's database to do that? Yes, it can be do it. But business rules a lot of other capabilities. Like I have a first business rule is, if a customer is a platinum, give him 10% discount. Second rule is, if some person spends $1,000, make him a platinum customer. What does it mean? If a customer spends $1,000, give him 10% discount. Or this is called indexing. So A equal to B, B equal to C makes A equal to C. So normal programming languages cannot do it. Business rules has the capability to do that. And this is what this business rule is used for. And we will see, and we will be doing the exercises. We will see how business rules does it. Then comes the concept of human workflows. Suppose I have a business process where if somebody has put the order and I say, is the order value more than the credit limit? If yes, it has to be approved. So now when I have to say approval, it means I'm asking a human, somebody to intervene in the business process and do it. So if these are the cases where some person has to go approve or disapprove the request, that is where the human workflows come in handy. MDS. MDS stands for metadata repository. It is a place where we will have a lot of components which have to be shared on different mediators, people, or different people flows. So this is a place where we keep it. Registries is nothing but a UVDI. Like I said, they are nothing but yellow pages. B2B. B2B is used for e-commerce transactions. You have to do EDI transactions, 810s, 850s, 894s, or you have in healthcare it is HL7 standard. If it is a manufacturing, it can be Net. So these type of standards where have to be used and B2B comes in handy. Then I have created the flows, but I don't know how many orders are flowing in my system at a given time. How many invoices, how many are going through, how many are getting failed. So if this is the case, BAM comes in handy. It gets me the real-time dashboard, which I can use to build the system. How to monitor the business, the whole arc is using EM and SOA console. If you have a security requirement like connecting to the visa or something, or visa or some of the sites, policy manager comes in handy. JDeveloper. It is the tool that we will be using for writing our code. It is the only tool that we will be using. So when we will be in the class, we will give you two options, either to install the SOA suite at your end. Okay, we have the full tutorial, we'll have the full material which we will give it to you and you can easily install it. Secondly, we can give you the virtual box or a virtual machine which has inbuilt everything. You don't need to do anything. Only thing is you have to install your box. It will come up once you are done with the work. You can just stop it. The only requirement for having a SOA on your system is that your system should have at least 4 gigs of RAM and at least 30 gigs of space should be available on your hard disk. This is the only requirement that from the hardware perspective that you need to fulfill. So any questions? I will unmute you all. That you can ask me the questions that you may have.